Hello everyone, it's Tessera here. I don't really have a way to start this. Uh, it's pretty clear that I am a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons. And Gibi ASMR did an exact thing of just info dumping about their character. And they have a few things hinting towards TPRPG. Blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not gonna cut that. TTRPGs. And so, I guess, I've been wanting to do something like that. I didn't realize I could do something like that. And so, here we are. You and me, we're gonna go on a little adventure together. I have a lot of subscribers. It's bound to be someone being like, oh, D&D, that's an RPG, and they think of like Skyrim or something else. Yeah, kind of. Dungeons and Dragons is a collaborative storytelling game where there's one dungeon master who creates a story or runs modules like a book, but they're open-ended, like a choose-your-own-adventure book. So that's pretty cool. But if you think about it more and more, the cool thing about that all is that there's players as well that can influence the story, and they can make characters to go with it. And I kind of really want to talk about some of my first characters because I really enjoy them and they're really stuck in my head. So yeah, I grew up in a Mormon family that was very strict. I was not a good boy. I snuck out a lot. But the one thing that we could do, my mother allowed us to play Yu-Gi-Oh! My stepfather didn't like us playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On Sundays, but my mom fought against that, so we were allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! On Sundays. No video games on Sundays. And hardly can go anywhere. We couldn't even leave our front yard on Sundays. Yeah. So I spent my time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I built up a deck that I still have. That's based off of birds called blackwings. They're humanoid birds. They're like harpies, nearly. I'll get an image of one of my favorite ones right here. But blackwings were amazing to me. They just... I liked the idea of flying. I still do like the idea of flying. I would love to go flying someday. I flew a plane once with some people in the Mormon church. And so it just stuck on me that I liked flying, I liked these birds, and so eventually we were homeless for a bit. I remember I had to sleep outside in a tent during the winter. That was not fun. But there we were living on another Mormon family's place, and their oldest son was playing Dungeons and Dragons. Originally he was playing Heroescape, and my brother and me loved Heroescape because it was a board game. But he was like, yeah, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, I'd love to play. So I made a character. I had a notebook that I wrote out the stuff. I put a piece of tape down. I had one of my favorite blackwings. I taped him in a card sleeve. I put him on there. I'm like, this is my character. And I made something out of the books that they had. They had this book called Races of the Wilds. And with that, I made this character who was a birdman. Wings, talons for feet, and I wanted to play a cleric. Worship God and stuff. And I guess eventually he had to ask my stepfather because you can't just ask my mother because obviously my stepfather's in control of my life. Anyway, so he asked my stepfather, and my stepfather said no. Which is fine. Eventually we moved out of there. I didn't get to play any of that Dungeons and Dragons. Cough right there. I might drink some water. But yeah, we played Dungeons and Dragons later in life, so I never got to play. I knew what it was, and I had this taste of like, oh, I could make things for myself. So my brother and me eventually we started making things for ourselves. It usually started with just we took our Yu-Gi-Oh cards, we made our own little game system of like coin flips of like a battle Pokemon game. We also made our own card game, and I think it's up there above on my shelf. You still might have it. Multiple card games actually. One of them was really dumb. We grabbed regular printer paper and we cut it up to put into card sleeves with Yu-Gi-Oh cards that we didn't like to make cards that were sturdy and stuff so we could draw from a deck. That was always fun because my brother and me built cards together, and really good memories back then. But eventually my brother made a friend. His name was Kyle, and I made a friend. His name was Travis. Travis was younger than me. My brother is 16 months older than me. He's 2 grades above me in that time. And Travis and Kyle were brothers, and we're like, oh, that's pretty cool. We go over and they introduce us to Magic the Gathering, a Wizards of the Coast product, the Seattle company, as it's known. And we start playing Magic the Gathering. And they also introduced me to my other obsession, Dark Souls. They showed me Demon Souls and they had me play that, which was really fun. Playing that and Soul Calibur, all this stuff. But eventually, we showed them that, hey, we're making our own card game and stuff, and like, you can just play Dungeons and Dragons. We're like, what? You guys know about that? And they're like, yeah, we do. And so we go over to their house to build characters. I came over later because I was grounded at one point. And they're like, yeah, we can build you a character. Your brother made an elven monk. You can make a character. And I looked at them and I'm like, I already have a character. And they said, what? It's like, yeah, I got a character. It's great. They're like, what's the character? And I said, it's a Raptorin from Races of the Wild. And I wanted to play a cleric. And they told me no. They said it was too complicated and I need to play something simpler. So I was like, can I play Raptorin? And they said no again. I wanted to play this Raptorin, but they said it was too complicated. And I didn't really know much about it. Raptorins had wings, which was annoying for them, I guess. But Raptorins couldn't fly till like level 10, so I didn't really understand too much about it. We can only glide. They're like, you're not going to play a Raptorin. I was like, can I play a cleric? And they said no. Clerics are too complicated for you. I said, that's dumb. Like, well, you can make a different character. What do you want to make? And they put me into a human fighter. Like, why are there so many human fighters in Dungeons & Dragons? It's because of people like them forcing you to play human fighters. So yeah, I didn't want to play this, so they gave me a magic item. I guess it was part of some overarching story or something like that. Yeah, my first character, his name was Kai, because I was a little Dragon Ball Z nerd. And Dragon Ball Z Kai. Anyway. It's so dumb, but yeah, he had a magic sword which had fire damage. It was a long sword with a crystal in it that had fire damage. And I think Kyle, who was the dungeon master at the time, did a really good job to actually drag me into the story. Travis, his character was a bit complicated. Travis was good, and my character was like, oh, I'm just like chaotic neutral. If it doesn't involve me, why the fuck do I care? So, his character was more edgy than mine. Mine was just like, I am a human fighter, and I have sword. My brother was like, I am an elf from a monastery. Yes, I play like a rogue, though. Which I made fun of him for. I'm like, why don't you just play a rogue then? He's like, well, I don't want him. I want to be a monk. And Travis was playing a fighter himself. He was playing a human, but he was neutral entirely. And this is the part where I disagree with what Kyle did at a point. We saved the town from goblins. I was able to kill some, and I was super edgy. I was like, I killed the goblin, and I licked the blood off my sword. And I did that. I was in 6th grade, okay? But the mayor was like, oh my god, you're so cool. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he's like, let me bring you to my place to reward you guys. And so he gave us rewards. But it turns out there was another crystal, exactly like mine, that the mayor had. And I was like, what is that? He's like, this is my lightning crystal. And I was like, lightning, you say? So I'm sitting there. I've been playing Skyrim, you know? I know what video games are like. I'm just like, I want that sword. I want that sword to be powerful. And so that gem, I could put it on my sword to make it powerful, right? I played Diablo, I know how this goes. And so I sneak into his house and he's like, oh, hello. And I kill him. And I take the crystal and I burn down the house. And I'm still 6th grade, so remind it, or is it 7th grade? One of the two. I think Travis was 6th grade, I was 7th grade. But it was still pretty edgy. Anyway, so we're going through that place. And I run, I'm leaving this place. I'm like, I gotta leave before they catch me, any cops or guards. And Travis's character tries to stop me. But he's neutral, and so Kyle's like, you don't stop him, you're neutral, you don't care. Which is what I disagree with right there. It's like, this guy just burned down a house. We should probably stop him anyway. But oh well. Eventually, we start going through, and we go on another adventure to helps a caravan. And out of it, we find another crystal. We're like, wait, there's a lot of these crystals. They're all the same design. Let's put it on the sword. And so my sword gets boosted damage, alright? It gets fire damage, lightning damage, acid damage. We make jokes about it like that. Anyway, so eventually we fight some lizard folk, who are being quite violent. And I remember I cut off the head of the lizard folk king, who had 2 heads because he was super strong, and I cut him off with a strike from my sword, which did 1d8 because it was a long sword, a d4 fire, d4 lightning, d4 acid. Yeah, that's cool. A lot of damage there. And we always made a joke like, yeah, it's dripping with like liquid fire like acid, and there's lightning arcing all over the asses. It drops and hits the floor, and then their dad walked by. He's like, how do you put that sword away? And we all look at each other. We're like, swords come with sheaths, right? Yeah, there's a sheath especially made for it. And they're like, okay. Their father was like an old guard, so that's pretty good. I think he played 2nd edition and stuff. It was fun. He became a dungeon master for us later, eventually, which was eventful. All right. But this is the part where I actually lost him as a character. Because we're going and we're hunting things, and I start hearing voices. Kai starts hearing voices. He's like, what's going on here? There are voices all around me. Which is very odd. Eventually we go through and we meet a mystical nature goddess or spirit. I think it's a dryad. And she was evil. Clearly evil. And she was mind-controlling lycanthropes, werewolves, werebears, to be under her control and kill the people of the forest. So obviously we have to put a stop to that, so we kill them. And I kill the dryad, and all the mind controls drop. And as soon as the mind controls drop, Travis, his character, kills the werebear, who is neutral good, but it was being mind controlled. And so Travis just killed a good person. And Travis's character couldn't handle that, and so I believe he committed seppuku. It's like, I'm gonna go kill myself. Maybe, I don't remember exactly. He might have been a paladin. It's been so long, I could call him and figure that out. I'm pretty sure he lives nearby, so... Oh, I could play with him again. Anyway, no, I'm getting off track. Let's just say he was a paladin because I remember he had a paladin character that led to another paladin character. Alright, so he had a paladin character who was clearly in his 20s, alright? Which is at this point, he's in his 20s, alright? And we start leaving the forest, but I'm still hearing these voices as Kai. No one else does. And eventually, one of the werewolves joins us, and he's like, yo, I don't really want to be here. I'm just going to follow you guys around. My name's Derek, the werewolf. We're like, Derek the werewolf is part of our team now. He's great. And we started leaving the place. And I'm like, I'm going to stay and rest at this little abandoned house because I'm taking psychic damage from this stuff. And everyone's like, yeah, it's weird. We'll go look around. And so they go look around and leave me alone with the werewolf man. Werewolf Derek. But the dungeon master forgot about werewolf Derek. And so Kai is alone. And suddenly, the door opens and a floating creature with no feet, entirely white fur, covering them like a humanoid body, and a deer face on their head, and horns, floats in and immediately starts attacking me to kill me. Apparently this is a Windigo from 3.5 where their feet are gone, and there's some mythology behind that. Windigos are really cool. Someone says don't say the Windigo name, they're an idiot. That's dumb, don't listen to them. And they're like, oh, it's sacred, you get cursed by the Windigo. That's not how that works. You don't understand Anyway, I'm yeah, sorry. Alright, so the Windigo kills Kai, and we're just upset. I was like, oh great, now Kai's dead. I'm upset, but I'm not upset. I'm just like, oh, I can make a new character now, right? And like, yes, you can, which I think is great. So, yeah, but I'm also gonna start a few levels below everyone else because they're level 3 and I'll be level 1, which is upsetting, but it's still fine. And so they come out. Kai is dead, and when they come back and they realize the werewolf's there, they're like, "What's going on?" Kai comes back to life as a Windigo and starts attacking everyone. They kill him, and my brother, who is playing the elf monk Sosa, takes the longsword and like, I will carry this in his memory. Turns out the crystals are part of her monastery, and they go on some adventures to take care of that. I was grounded again because I was a little brat. And so I spent some time making this character. One of my longest living characters, not even close actually, think about it. His name was Angus. It was Latin for like fire, basically. I wanted to be like fire eater or something like that. I think it was Angus Neko Muller. Angus Neko Muller, which is like fire eater, murderer or something. And I'm like, he's gonna be neutral evil, and he's gonna be evil in front of the Paladin. And I was like, that's gonna be great. And so, when I was walking to their place, Travis came and got me, and he's like, yo, Kyle is gonna run you through some solo adventures while me and your brother play Soul Calibur. I was like, alright, sweet. That's gonna be perfectly fine. Little did I know this will lead up to a lot of danger. So I start working for the Thieves Guild as this Angus character, who is a Raptor. I might have art for him, so I'll put him up right now. Angus was great. I heavily enjoyed playing him because he was just like in the Thieves Guild, and it's super cool that I actually get to play a character that's in the Thieves Guild. I go over and get some assassin contracts, and I got like a baby black griffin out of it. A crow griffin, griffin. Let's call it a griffin. I got a bag of holding to hold like unlimited amount of stuff. I can hold 500 pounds of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that you can hold into a bag of holding. Also, yeah, with the griffin, I got another sword that I was able to steal off one of my assassination targets, I believe. And the sword starts speaking to me, which is never good. If your dungeon master says the sword speaks to you, put the sword down. Alright? And the sword called itself Demorian. And I believe Kyle pulled it from an older campaign that he did, or played in, because they talked about Demorian as if they played with Demorian before. And I was confused. But I got Demorian, which is really cool, because I used Demorian later in my own games. But with that, the sword was super powerful. I could heal for all the damage I dealt. Now we can see why this is a problem. But it helped me keep up with people that were like 2 levels higher than me. And so going through, I started doing Thieves Guild quests, I start killing nobles and stuff. And eventually a noble was just like, yo, I have this internally dark sword that looks like it's made of starlight and the night sky. I'll trade you for that demon sword. And I said no, because I didn't want to get rid of it. Turns out I should have gotten rid of it for that sword because it was better. But, and the sword is more trouble than it's worth. I met up with the people, and I had the noble child with me as a sidekick because I killed his parent. And I was like, yo, I'll raise you better than that fucker was doing because he was beating you and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Raise the kid. I have basically a son. And so we go adventuring into dungeons and stuff. Eventually there's this dungeon trap. It was in the Book of Challenges, I believe, where there's like a 50-foot long pit with lava at the bottom and plates hanging down off chains. You have to jump from plate to plate. And Travis's character jumps across and drops in the lava and dies. It turns out that Raptorans get a +10 to their jump checks with their wings. So I immediately just hop all the way across, and we realized that I could have used a rope to save him. And Sosa, my brother, drinks a potion of elemental resistance and runs down, runs across the lava because he has a ring of water walking as well, and then climbs up the other side of the cliff. Genius. Absolutely genius. It was an eventful time with that. We go through the dungeon, and my brother lights some stuff on fire because he doesn't like the smell of it. Or, no, that's not him, that was me. I just remember with the next part, it was funny because of him. Yeah, so there was rotting food, so I burn it, but we're in an enclosed system. So it starts smoking, and the entire place is full of smoke. And my brother's character stands up and just breathes in all the smoke, and then immediately passes out, failing his Constitution saving throw, dropping. I think it was a Fortitude saving throw at that time because it was 3.5, but he drops. And he's just like, oh dear. And I'm like, I have to crawl out of here with him. That's what I do. I am able to successfully get us out of this entire dungeon, which I do not remember why we were there. Don't ask me, I don't remember. And so, yeah, he nearly died. And I saved him. So there's a bond between Sosa and him. Like, hey, you kind of helped me. And I'm like, yes, you are welcome. With that, I saved the kid as well. Got him out. Which is really cool because we also got to meet Travis's new character who made his other character who died was like in his 20s. And so we got to meet his character's son who was also in his 20s. Dude, do we realize what's going on here? His son is just like, oh, I got a magic sword. It's a holy sword because I'm a paladin. And it turns out the Assassin Guild wanted me to kill his father, but I did not. I refused. But I did take the credit for it anyway because he died. So when that happened, immediate fight broke out where Travis' character and me were like, no, we're not fighting. But Demorian loves a good fight. So I was like, hey, don't point your sword at me. And he's like, I will point my sword at you. My name is Paladin Jr., and you killed my father, prepare to die. He said the whole, you killed my father, prepare to die. And I thought it was hilarious. We were all laughing. And like, I hold on to the hilt of my sword. Demorian would often challenge my character to take control of his body. And so as soon as I did that, I had to roll for a saving throw, which I failed. And we immediately swung at each other. With that, his sword had like a lesser deva in it, and my sword had a demon in it. We attacked, and his sword shattered. My sword had a crack in it, which was dangerous. The guards arrested us because there was an explosion after that. And this is where their father took over the dungeon master. He's like, yo, I'll be taking over. And so the guards talk to me. They're like, yo, here's a candle of truth. You better be truthful to us or we're just going to kill you. I was like, oh, shit. This isn't good. So I tell the truth. And I'm like, yo, this is my sword. I want my sword. They're like, nope, we're going to destroy your sword. And I was like, I'm upset. That's fine. Through his questing, though, through the Thieves Guild, assassinating and going through dungeons, he had access to like 26,000 gold pieces, though. So he's like, I could go buy a new sword. This is going to be fine. He opens his stuff out, and he is missing 90% of his stuff. He's like, that's weird. And it turns out, the kid that he saved from the noble had a mother-like person who was in that manor that Angus killed. And they were upset about that, and they took Angus's money and hired a mage to kill Angus. Which was very fun, and it killed my griffin, so I hate that kid. I hate him so much. Which was uneventful, but eventually we moved away, and we never got to play them again that often. And so I called him, I was like, yo, I'm going to bring this character over. Do you have any stuff about Demorian? I want to know more about Demorian, because I want Angus to go after that. Turns out Demorian was a level 40 character in Demon Lord stats, basically. So, yeah, that was a dangerous thing. That's like a Balor territory right there. Demon Lord, nearly. For 5e and stuff, but we were still playing 3.5, but yeah, it was just a Balor or Balrog. Demorian was terrifying. Angus was brought back to life by Demorian at one point. And, he had multiple marks from demons, and so when I transferred over to a new game with a new dungeon master, who was my uncle, when demons save you, they give you these things called demon kisses, and they just give you marks on your body, which is like, yo, your soul is owned by me. And so Angus had a lot of those, and so when people saw Angus, they called him a demon whore. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Be called that because Angus is not a nice person. You'd be like, I'm gonna kill you now. He was never a fun person, I guess. He's one of the best. Going through playing as Angus was probably one of my funnest times. There was so much to go because eventually, he still had he got movable rods, and he used those to help him climb in places where he couldn't fly. He became a level 9 fighter and a level 1 barbarian before I took over as dungeon master because my uncle left to do a job, and ever since then, everyone's like, yo, Tess, you are the best dungeon master we have. We want you to stay being the dungeon master. And I said, okay. I used him as an NPC, kind of like a DMPC, and I probably shouldn't have. So I took him out of it. Every time I realized I was playing a DMPC, I immediately was like, yep, I'm killing the character. I need to kill the character and be done with it. I can't have DMPC in this. A DMPC means a Dungeon Master player character. When a character, you want to play the game, but you can't play the game because no one's going to be the Dungeon Master, so you make a character to play in with them, which makes no sense because you know all the secrets and no one else does. I tried to make NPCs helpful, but not too helpful to the party, but most of my NPCs often came off as just rude, entitled characters who'd laugh at the any misfortune that happened to the other characters, which is rude and awful, and I hate me being an old dungeon master like that. And eventually something switched and I became a much better dungeon master. So we started a new game, and I could talk about that later, if you guys want to hear more about that. This is going to be a short time because I have to go see some lights with my parents, like grandparents and stuff. But yeah, I want to thank you all for listening to this, me ramble like this, and have fun just talking about it. It's good talking about Angus for once in a while. He is dead now. That's his character is dead in my world. Kind of. It's complicated, but if you want to hear more about that, you can. I don't know. If we get this video to like 50 likes, I guess. 50 likes, yeah. 50 likes means we make another version of this, and you can listen to more about whatever you want in the comments. I can talk about my strongest character, my current favorite characters. I can talk about some of the D&D characters that you see on this channel that I play. But yeah, whatever you'd like to hear. Thank you all for watching this, and yeah. But first, it's never goodbye. No, never. It's always. It's time for the Patreon shoutouts. Milo Stout, Sarvel, Zaram Lockfield, Wolfware, BJS, Skari, Juliana, thank you all for being patrons at a good $5 level to get being shouted like this. This is a different video, and I apologize if no one likes it. I hope you guys have a good day. Alright, goodbye.